We acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to elders, past, present and emerging, and acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people's spirit, imagination and rich history of storytelling and humour that is an inspiration for all Australians.
Hello, welcome to another episode of The Bearer of Weird News. As always, I am your host and the suppository of all wisdom, Matt Harvey. This episode is brought to you guys, as usual, by you. Yes, you, the wonderful members of the Patreon. The supportive ones, the lovely ones, the ones who turn out and throw a little cash our way. If you'd also like to become a patron of the Bullshit Arts, then feel free to jump onto our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Matt Harvey Stuff, and choose a tier that suits you, whatever you can afford. But if I'm honest, guys, I wouldn't dare rely on you alone. I know that things are tough out there. Times are tough, cost of living crisis and all that. So I couldn't put that kind of pressure on you. It would be very unfair. So we turn, as we always do, to our larger sponsors. And this episode's sponsor is National Tourism Day. That's right. Are you sick of your humdrum existence? Do you live to work or do you work to live? These are the important questions. Have you accumulated a full year's worth of annual leave? That's maybe the most important question of them all, because it is time to go on a holiday. That's right. Celebrate this year's World Tourism Day by booking a holiday somewhere so cheap that you don't feel like the rules apply to you anymore. Stay in an accommodation that is normally way out of your league. Indulge in food the likes of which you don't normally eat. And be such a menace that you go viral online for acting like an asshole. World Tourism Day. Be a menace somewhere other than your own home. But of course, the truth is, as much as I appreciate the Patreon, as much as I appreciate our larger sponsors, all of this would not be possible without my live shows. They are definitely the most important component of all of this. And I'd like to say thanks first to our Sydney attendees. I was just at the Sydney Comedy Festival for a couple of days, and those of you who did turn out, it was a fantastic time. I had a lot of fun. We got to do I Got Bit by a Monkey once, and I really enjoyed bringing that to you guys. It was really fun, a couple of days over in Sydney, so I'd like to thank you for that. I do have some upcoming shows, of course, and I need you to, if you know anyone in these areas, please don't hesitate to send them my way. I'll be in the San Diego International Fringe from May 15th to May 26th doing my show, Wage Against the Machine, at the Marie Hitchcock Puppet Theatre, which, if I'm quite frank with you guys, is a lot of seats. And I'd really like some support, just some help getting some people out there. Then I go off to Reykjavik for 2 shows, June 5th and June 7th, in the Dubliner, a little pub, I assume, a little Irish pub in Reykjavik for the Reykjavik Fringe Festival. And then there's a little bit of a gap, which, who knows, maybe we'll fill in with a couple of things in between now and then. But right now, the next available festival for you to come and check out is Darwin, the Darwin Fringe Festival, where I will also be taking I Got Bit by a Monkey once. I got 4 shows at the Top Floor Comedy. I should know these things. They're my venues. Top Floor Comedy in Darwin from July 17th to 20th, and I will of course be doing the Edinburgh Fringe at the moment with Wage Against the Machine, and hopefully I'll be able to take I Got Bit by a Monkey once, so we just need to lock a venue down. But I will be doing, I think it's July 30th until August 26th as part of Just the Tonic. We're on at 10:50 in the morning, but hey, who's to say that hard-hitting political commentary and talking about terrible jobs doesn't work at 10:50 in the morning as well as it does at 7 o'clock at night. So guys, if you know anyone who's going to the festival, who's in the UK or around that way, just do send them my way. I'd really appreciate that. But until then, guys, I will of course be the bearer of weird news. And let's get into the headlines. A new art installation project in Australia uses the DNA of a musician who died in 2021 to create a sort of brain that continuously composes music on the fly via electrical signals. Upon hearing about this unpaid labor from someone who'd never be able to use the bathroom anyway, Jeff Bezos immediately jumped into action to try and secure the rights to this technology all for himself. Mark Zuckerberg has suggested wiping everyone's Facebook friends and making users start again to boost the platform's relevance. And I say, do it, you coward! Do it! Take away the only reason that people still struggle to leave your platform, the urge to stalk people that they knew from high school. They've forgotten their names by now, so if you take away all those connections, that's it, they're done, they get to move on, guilt-free. I can't think of a better way for that platform to die than by the owner putting the final nail in the coffin himself. It's actually a perfect ending to one of the largest cesspools in the history of the internet. Zuckerberg gives off big weeb energy anyway, so seppuku is probably the perfect way for it all to end. The conclave to elect the new Pope has started after Pope Francis died at the age of 88. And guys, I don't know if you know this, but we've been doing a little bit of digging into this, and turns out that 97.65% of popes have died on the job. Do other people know about this? It's actually an OH&S nightmare. It's almost as if the church is covering something up. But I know that that's crazy talk. That's not like the church at all. By now you've undoubtedly heard about the Blue Origin flight featuring 5 prominent women and Katy Perry. But reportedly, Katy Perry now regrets going to space due to backlash about her dramatic post-flight gesture and remarks about the space trip. Can we get a little look at that?
He's officially an astronaut. Katie! And very happy to be back on Earth.
So it seems she kissed the Earth and she hates it. The taste of her humble pie. A new research paper demonstrates how relatively simple changes to urinal geometry can dramatically reduce splashback, improving hygiene and potentially saving millions of litres of cleaning water daily. Yes, you can read all about this in the prestigious journal of Not Pissing on the Floor. Upon hearing about all this time and money spent on this research, women the world over asked, have you tried just sitting down when you take a piss? Clive Palmer's Trumpet of Patriots party has failed to win a single seat in the House of Representatives, despite reportedly spending $60 million on the 2025 campaign, advertising and bombarding of people with over 17 million unsolicited text messages. Sorry, that story again. After a lot of public fervour and an excessive cost to create, Clive Palmer's vanity project sunk before reaching its intended destination. Hey! Looks like he managed to build that Titanic replica that he's been banging on about all these years after all. Despite the overwhelming loss at the election, Gina Rinehart has urged Liberals to stick with Trump-like policies. You know, I've been thinking about it, and I've been looking into it a little bit, and guys, I'm starting to suspect that this Gina Rinehart lady might not have Australia's best interests at her heart. I guess we should have suspected when she went and made Hancock Prospecting's motto, all for one, and that one is me. Influencer baker Brooke Bellamy has been dropped as an ambassador for a federally funded program to teach girls to think like an entrepreneur, after cookbook author Nagi Mahashi accused her of plagiarism. And to be honest with you guys, I don't know why you'd drop her as an entrepreneur ambassador. Claiming credit for the hard work of others is one of the main skills of many of the best entrepreneurs history has had to offer. And these girls need to learn that women can be just as shitty as men too. It's an important skill set. Hungry Jack's has been fined $150,240 because its 27,850 Garfield toys were powered by button batteries, and they didn't include warnings about the batteries being inside. In a statement, Hungry Jack's said it took immediate steps to stop distribution and went on to say that the batteries in the meal were no less healthy than what they would normally put in their burgers anyway. Well, that's the end of the headlines for this episode. We're going to go into the bigger stories now, starting with the Trans News Roundup. Yeah, the 21st century has been littered with anti-trans sentiment, as leaders the world over have decided they only have one more group who they are openly allowed to discriminate against, and they're going to go all in on the trans community. Starting over in Hungary, as rights for transgender people were restricted as part of wider crackdowns on the LGBTQIA+ communities in Hungary through an amendment to its constitution by the ruling coalition led by populist Prime Minister and man who answered the casting call for man sick of listening to his own shit, Viktor Orban. The proposal was pretty standard anti-trans garbage. The National's constitution now says there are two sexes, male and female, or what's more commonly known as the kindergarten cop approach to sex and gender.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Thank you for clarifying, young man. Now we'll get back to the story. The amendment on gender included a clause that enshrined the protection of children's physical, mental, and moral development. I have no doubt that they will be getting around to blocking other threats to children's mental health like poverty and destructive right-wing ideologies waging culture wars any minute now. Any second now. I'm sure they'll get there. They're very busy right now doing a whole bunch of anti-trans stuff. Once they've cleared that up, then they'll get to the other stuff. I mean, they just need to do this trans stuff first for balance, right? The amendment also banned any public events from LGBTQIA+ communities. I guess that's because the people of Hungary are tired of having 6 street parties. It's the only reason that I can think of that you would ban them. They just really need some sleep. In the US, things are deteriorating at a pretty constant rate. Trump not only locked down the two sexes in the US thing that Hungary also did, but the Trump administration is suing the state of Maine for not allowing an executive order that he signed that banned transgender athletes from participating in girls' and women's sports, threatening to pull federal funding. Yeah! They aren't paying federal money for... Here it is. Supporting children to feel good about themselves. Fuck that! That's not what the US government was made for. It was made due to the colonist belief that they should not be subjected to taxes without having elected representatives in the British Parliament. You know, the important things. The things governments have cared about since the beginning of governments. Making sure the ruling class doesn't have to pay taxes. How does the war on trans people help the wealthy not pay taxes? That's my question. It doesn't, does it? It's not living up to that basic American ideal, the basic tenets of the country, what I come to think of as the real American dream, not paying taxes. Currently, Trump is pushing for the US Supreme Court to reinstate his administration's ban on transgender troops serving in the armed forces. The State Department is blocking new passports with the X gender marker, saying that they will no longer be issued. Federal agencies are carrying out executive orders from Trump that all share a common goal, which is removing transgender and non-binary people from public life wherever possible. Seems in this new America, trans people shouldn't have to pay taxes, as they appear to have no representation. Isn't that the whole tenet? No taxation without representation? Look, just a little something for you to chew over. Obviously, I don't live there. And of course, over in the UK, where you guys might have heard, the Supreme Court decided the definition of a woman is based on biological sex and excludes transgender people. 5 judges ruled that the UK Equality Act means trans women can be excluded from some groups and single-sex spaces, such as changing rooms, homeless shelters, swimming areas, and medical consulting services provided only to women. They insisted the court ruling did not remove rights for trans people, as they were still protected from discrimination under UK law. You know, technically, in that you can't discriminate against anyone, technically. And isn't that the best way to provide safety for your citizens under a technicality? I think we should be deferring to more technicalities for laws. And if there is one way that we need rights to apply to people, it is by default. Why carve out specifics when we can just stumble ass backwards into some kind of protecting of people, sort of, and certainly not in a way that means anything specific or significant to them as individuals. The women's rights group, or as we correctly call them around these parts, the TERF group, was unsurprisingly supported by the notorious TERF herself, J.K. Rowling, who continues her villain arc as she turns from working class hero to upper class asshole. She reportedly donated tens of thousands of pounds to back the TERFs. And as a means of support, she released her latest in a long series of Harry Potter lore drops, where she dramatically and sometimes confusingly adds new information into your brain about the world of Harry Potter. This one's simply titled Harry Potter and the Wrong Side of History. Emboldened by this UK ruling, and presumably now a massive Harry Potter fan, a member of New Zealand First, basically New Zealand's version of One Nation. So, for any non-Australians listening, I need you to think about it like this. If the orcs of Middle-earth were successful in carving out a space for themselves right in the middle of Hobbiton, and then insisted that they were always here and refused to acknowledge that they'd taken the land from the hobbits, then went and formed a political party around the whole idea that the land belonged to them in the first place, that'd be New Zealand First. That'd be One Nation. You get the idea? Well, these orcs, they have decided that they don't like trans people being recognised, and they want the same thing that the UK got, a legal ruling that says trans people are imaginary and fuck reality and everyone in it. Which is a big ask, if I'm honest. And I get it. I've acted before. It's always way more fun to play make-believe than to live in reality. You know, cool shit happens in make-believe land. There are monsters that you get to fight, or there might be like a cool stunt that you get to do. I get it. It's fun to play make-believe. And if things don't go your way, or if anybody questions you, you can just cancel the whole project. You know what I mean? You can cancel the whole thing, have a big cry, call them woke, and say, cancel culture is coming to get ya. You know, that sort of thing. Make-believe is fun, right? I get it. But at a certain point, you sort of need to accept things are the way they are, and maybe move on with your life. At this point, weirdly, enter Australia, the very unlikely hero of this piece. You see, Australia's Sex Discrimination Commissioner, Anna Cody, has strongly criticised the UK's Supreme Court ruling about trans women not being included as women. Cody expressed support for the trans and gender diverse community, saying the laws in the UK are not the laws of Australia. To which Gough Whitlam stepped up and said that he would like to have a bit of a conversation with a few people about how much influence Britain had over Australia's law. Cody said, "Our lands should reflect inclusion, respect, and the right of all people to live with dignity, and that human rights belong to everyone." I mean, we still won't treat them well or with dignity, but if you have any doubt about that, please refer to both our Indigenous and refugee populations. But we do acknowledge them. That's the important thing. We acknowledge that they're there, and that we do not treat them well. Well, we don't always acknowledge that we don't treat them well either, but we acknowledge that they are there. They're definitely there. We have to. It's necessary to differentiate between people so that we know who we are going to treat poorly compared to everyone else. You see? All of these things have their purpose in the grand scheme. But don't dare go accusing us of not acknowledging the nuances of the modern world in which we live. I mean, we start so many meetings or shows with an acknowledgement of country. We're a big acknowledging country ourselves. It's called Kill 'em with kindness. This has been our motto for the longest time. It's a significant improvement on our old motto, which was, fuck all you guys, we'll do what we want. And we're going to wrap this one up with election news. I know that seems sudden, but the election just happened. And guys, there's a lot to talk about. The election has just wrapped up, and for 5 weeks it was bearing down on us all in all possible meanings of the word. Candidates were out giving speeches, ideologies being judged, and Reddit forums were being flooded with questions about whether or not one party or another is actually scary, or maybe just the 63% stranglehold of the media the Murdoch Empire has on the country has managed to spread some disinformation and maybe told a couple of fibbies here and there in its time. Big moments for the country. But with the election all wrapped up now, there's no time to think about any of that, because somebody has said something stupid on the election campaign. And we're going to go through some of the election highlights. And for the first stupid cab off the rank, what we have here is an election in the exceedingly white country of Australia, where both the major political parties are putting forward candidates who are what the internet would describe as old and white. Yes, even Albanese, who is the first Italian-Australian Prime Minister, is so damn white. If you doubt his credentials, I ask you to simply look at this.
Even the most familiar surrounds can be slippery.
Oh, see, that is a white man's level of spatial awareness right there. It's why so many of us struggle to dance. We know it's a danger, and if anything, we're doing you guys a favor by staying away, keeping our distance, you know? So what's the worst thing an election this white could possibly have produced? Did I hear a rap? Yeah. Oh yeah. You better believe I heard a rap. I'm not even kidding, guys. Let's give this one a bit of a listen, and I apologise in advance.
Deb Leonard, rapping Monash in his post. From Druin to Wonthaggi, Warrigal to the coast. In Leongatha and Cowes, some are struggling both. While major parties in Canberra got caviar on their toast.
Yeah, that's white mum and independent candidate Deb Leonard going out of her way to ensure the 18 to 35 demographic is extremely reluctant to put her above Labor on their preferences. Sure, she seems to care about the electorate, but if this is the level of her decision making, I think everybody needed to reconsider whether or not they wanted to vote for her or not. But I will say this, as bad as that rap is, and it is a breath of fresh air compared to the other political rap to drop this political season. That's right, 2 raps dropped from 2 extremely white candidates. Let's see if you can guess which party dropped this rap.
Got us feeling so stressed, we need to find a solution. Need to switch up the people in power. I just want to put food on the table, so I'm willing to do what I gotta. Bring them prices down, this is what we need. Cause Albo's gotta leave, Albo's gotta leave. Hey, bring them prices down, this is what we need. Cause Albo's gotta leave, Albo's gotta leave. Hey.
Did you guess? Did you guess? Yeah, that's right. It's the one, it's the only, the notorious P. Diddy and the Liberal Party. And this, believe it or not, this rap, the Australian called a Drake-inspired diss track. Because they've never heard an actual real rap before. They've complained about rap, sure, but they've never actually heard any rap before. Now, these are both objectively bad raps, don't get me wrong, but compared to the Liberal Party's slop heap, suddenly Deb Leonard is looking very electable. At least she has a little bit of flow. And, you know, she was willing to show up in her own video. It wasn't just some probably AI-generated crap. I don't want to dwell on this bad rap as there are so many things to talk about this election, but I need to focus on this one thing. Just this one thing, okay? Just bear with me a moment. I will subject you to a little bit more of that rap just one more time. I do apologise in advance, but just give it a listen. See if you can hear what I hear.
Some eggs and cheese, $100, you kidding me? It costs too much to live, the economy's looking a mess. So we living check to check, labor got us feeling so stressed. We need to find a solution, need to switch up the people in power.
Did you catch that? Wonderful listening audience who are being extremely patient with all this rap stuff. Why would you put that lyric in a rap? Especially in a rap about an upcoming election where you're one of the parties that were more extreme on views in immigration. It's just a wild choice for you to have made. But I'm sorry, I've been distracted. That wasn't even what I wanted to highlight. It just took me by surprise when I heard it. So we're gonna go in one more time and listen real quick, in, out, real fast. I apologize, I promise.
Bring them prices down, this is what we need, cause Albo's gotta leave, Albo's gotta leave. Hey.
Did you catch that? There it is. Did you hear it? Albo's gotta leave? Leave? Albo's gotta leave? What? What are you doing, coalition? You had it right in front of you. You were there. You were like inches from the finish line. The simplest rhyme in the history of rhyming. That would also reinforce your message. Albo's gotta leave? No, champ. Albo's gotta go. Albo's gotta go. Do you see the basic rhyming structure here? It's real simple. Never has there been less effort put into rhyming since Kanye rhymed money with money 4 times in a row. Sorry. I'm just really angry about it. Moving away from the world of political rap with something much more familiar, political podcasts. So Colin Boyce, a coalition MP and self-proclaimed climate change denier, and sentient ham sitting in the back of the fridge, desperately screaming to be noticed. He went on a podcast, the name of which I never bothered to learn because fuck those guys, where he dropped this 5D chess maneuver.
We have to probably adopt a do-nothing strategy, obviously fight the good fight, but the do-nothing strategy is a tough love strategy where people will not actually understand what's happening until the lights go out. When the lifts in the buildings stop working and the supermarket shelves are empty because the refrigerators don't work anymore, that's when people will all of a sudden start to realise. I have a small cohort of parliamentarians who are of the same position as I. Politically, how do you sell that? That's the problem.
I mean, as wild a take as that is, I sit here now finding myself agreeing with him. Hear me out. If this is what it takes to get the major upgrades that we're going to need to put renewable power in everywhere, then I'm willing to put it all on the line for the future of the country. This country loves to gamble, right? And approximately 58 million petajoules of solar energy is received annually, which is 10,000 times larger than our total energy need consumption. Like, it's just wild that they don't think that there's going to be enough sunshine in a primarily desert country to be able to get this thing going. All we have to do is invest in the renewables. So yeah, I'm more than happy to take a chance on multiple renewable energies getting the job done. And we're going to need them because the coalition, they went oddly hard this election. They were just straight up refusing to say if they would introduce any policies to cut Australia's greenhouse gas emissions in the next decade, and simultaneously pledged to unwind most climate measures that were introduced under Labor, because they promised to get Australia back on track. Yeah, that was their big slogan for the election. Get Australia back on track. What does that even mean, guys? Even Andrew Bolt didn't like your political slogans. When you have turned #1 cheerleader Andrew Bolt away from the team, I feel like, yeah, you probably did something wrong. But the problem is, I guess, with the back on track political slogan, the train was only off the track because it was running out of control and simultaneously on fire and somehow flooding at the same time. Not to mention that the train was one of those old-timey coal-fueled trains. You understand what I'm saying here? We don't need coal-fueled trains anymore. However, despite the best efforts of these other candidates, a party actively attempting to roll back climate change measures was definitely the strangest pitch of the entire 2025 election cycle. Just in this day and age, when you lost seats to political party members who were sort of similar to you but had better climate policies, how is this your big maneuver? And I will, like, people tried. These other political parties, they tried to have the strangest take. There was some real fucking doozies this election. Like Tasmanian Greens Senator Nick McKim, who donned a hoodie and put on a headset and then live streamed himself playing Fortnite, turning himself into the living embodiment of the "hello fellow children" meme. I understand you want to court the youth vote, but this is probably too young. You're skewing too young, and they're not going to be able to vote, but also they're not into this. They don't want to see you. They want to know that they're playing against other kids. They're weirded out that you're there playing Fortnite with them. But in a different tactic, Greens MP Stephen Bates turned to OnlyFans. Are you really going to pretend that you don't know what OnlyFans is? Very well. Very well. The website, mostly known for getting teachers fired and making rich rappers richer by selling private pictures to horny gooners. Bates used the platform to post about the Greens' efforts to make an HIV-related drug free in Australia. Independent candidate Nicolette Boel stole the district TikTok interview style of Egyptian-American comedian Kareem Rama's popular New York subway take series by posting a video of herself interviewing commuters on a train in New South Wales, even using the phrases
"What's your take? What's your take? What's your take?"
and
100%.
which is annoying. But if you're going to rip off an American, I'd rather it be Kareem's style that we bring into Australian Parliament than Trump's style, so I will have to give her points for that. Especially with the trumpet of patriots swimming in the water, hoping that we would scoop them up in our preference net when we try to avoid voting for the major parties this election. And as usual, they added a little bit of spice to the election cycle, so it wouldn't be, in the words of their leader,
boring. You have to go a long, long way to find a more boring election than this one.
Yeah, you tell them, Clive. Last thing we want is for politics to be boring. Couldn't have boring politics. It might put you to sleep, mightn't it, Clive? The audacity. Look at him. All tuckered out after a big day of taking up valuable space in Parliament while he attempts to manipulate the levers of power just to benefit himself. Ooh, you just sleepy little Clivey. Whereas if we just had the regular type of power manipulator, boring. Who could stand it? So, to fill the boring hole, Trumpet of Patriots fielded a candidate, David Sarakaya, whose website claimed that he holds a PhD in psychology, which, to be honest, might be quite useful, actually, in Parliament. A surprisingly thoughtful choice from the man who wants to rebuild the Titanic. We don't get a lot of soft sciences in Parliament. It's mostly law degrees, arts degrees, and business degrees. This is going to be a refreshing change. Unless something not boring happens, like, oh, I don't know, it turns out that he bought his degree online in a field unrelated to health services and is in fact prohibited from providing health services following an investigation that found he posed a risk to the health and safety of the public. That would be so not boring at all, especially if the New South Wales Healthcare Complaints Commission issued a warning that said that it was not safe to receive counselling and health services from this man. Oh, that would be so unboring, not even slightly boring. Not even a little bit. For a man as white as he is, he sure does know how to sprinkle just the right amount of spice into an election cycle. It's quite a skill. The HCCC said in 2016, evidence showed Sarikia was indeed a doctor. Though, yes, he got himself a PhD. He did, I will give him that. Full credit to him, he got himself a PhD. Sure, that PhD is not related to his practice in counselling or psychology in any way. In fact, it is in theology. So, when someone on the plane asks if there is a doctor, he can technically say yes. And given his specialty, he might even be able to perform their last rites, which he should have performed over the trumpet of patriots. But we'll end all this spicy roundup with shenanigans from the Liberal Party, who have been sending unsolicited emails designed to data harvest when recipients attempted to click unsubscribe. I mean, don't get me wrong, both Labor and Liberal parties both have websites that claim to enable people to apply for postal ballots. But before directing users to the AEC website where they might actually be able to sign up for a ballot, it actually makes them fill in their personal details, including their full name, their phone number, their address, and their email. But the Labor Party didn't disguise theirs as an unsubscribe button. There is a distinct level of extra deception in that, and you're going a bit more out of your way to be a little more cunty than usual. I get that it's an election and you feel like everything's on the line, but come on guys, chill out. The Victorian Liberals were not only cunty, but they were pretty stupid as well. And this country as a whole will abide a cunt. Don't get me wrong, we will. But it will not abide a stupid cunt. There is a distinct difference. So they went and left part of their email provider subscriber information exposed. Whoopsie. Oh no. Details that they use to determine who you might be include phrases like strong liberal, online donor, state vote, federal vote, predicted Chinese, predicted Jewish. You know, pretty regular phrases for the most part. They did also go on to include some like real obscure categories like predicted piece of shit, which was a little bit of a redundant as they actually already had strong liberal in the list, but hey. But the categories went on. Likely to have a snake as a pet, tofu aficionado, which, weird. Fan of Big Bang Theory, which seems harsh until you hear the next one. Thinks Severance is too slow and not worth the time, which is just a scathing review of a person. Secretly likes Chapel Roan songs, but publicly tells people that they only listen to Nickelback, which is an interesting choice. Prefers the middle seat on a plane. Maybe go see a therapist, chap. Likes the film Get Out, but sympathises with Rose's father. And eats onions, which, ugh, disgusting. And so on and so forth. I mean, they were really mining a lot of data this election. But all of this data, and they still don't understand people. As was evidenced in one of the debates. One of those few opportunities the candidates get to speak without someone fact-checking them or contradicting them. And he's gone and wasted this opportunity to speak to the public by doing something stupid like this.
Mr. Dutton, do you know how much they cost?
About $4.20.
$4.20? $4.20. Sorry, I just need to take a moment to disengage from the rage. Just, okay. $4.20. $1.20 for eggs. For eggs? Can I get the chart up? Can we just... Thank you, put the chart up there. Just... I want to see it. Show me the egg chart. Look at this. The last time eggs were about $4.20 was what? 2018? 2019? That's pre-pandemic prices. Are you kidding me, Dutton? Are you kidding me? I know that that's about when your relevance expired, but times have changed, champ. Times have changed. Granted, we don't all have a $30 million real estate portfolio to help us with the rising cost of eggs, but some of us just take reasonable steps like buying less avocado toast or making coffee at home or dying of malnutrition. You know, we can handle the economy in our own way. Thank you. $4.20 for eggs. Given his disconnection with the wants and needs of the general public, it's no surprise that he also said...
Under questioning, the opposition leader suggested welcome to country ceremonies are overused.
Mind you, this is mere days after Melbourne's Anzac Day dawn service was interrupted by neo-Nazis who were heckling a welcome to country. Let me reiterate that. Neo-Nazis went to the dawn service to boo the welcome to country. Neo-Nazis. Are you aware that your team lost in World War II? You know that, right? Like, that's done. That argument is settled. That war is done. You lost. You're not going to charm us with some sort of Stephen Bradbury-esque shenanigans here, Nazis. There is no coming from behind to win this particular race. We won't be building the Hermann Göring paintball arena. The results are in. You lose. Good day, Sirrah. Dutton then followed this by urging respect for the welcome to country, but reaffirmed his stance on one flag only should he win the election. Going on to say that welcome to countries felt false as he had never been welcomed anywhere that he's ever gone in his life. Like, even in his own political party, they were just like, oh shit, who invited Dutton? Not too loud, he'll hear. Peter, hi, what brings you here? Oh, I get it. I see. If they dropped the welcome to country ceremony and introduced a, oh, well, what brings you here ceremony, he'd probably be more comfortable with that because he's used to hearing people speak to him like that. One of his main concerns, it seemed, was ceremonies giving the wrong impression. Having these ceremonies made it seem like he cared for the lives and culture of Indigenous people, which is a huge mistake that could actually be dangerous for some people. You know, like a service animal. You need to let people know that they aren't your friend, that they're working right now, so leave them be. But mostly, Dutton said that he believed welcome to country speeches were overdone and should be kept only for important ceremonies, suggesting welcomes were not needed for the start of every meeting at work or the start of a football game. And we might be open to that discussion if you make a compromise, Duts. Not that you managed to become the leader. Did you, Dutton? Is that seat that you don't have anymore looking comfortable? I hope it is, because Ali France is going to enjoy herself in that seat. But sorry, we were talking about a compromise. I'm sure the Indigenous people of Australia would be happy to trade in the welcome to country ceremonies for a controlling share of, we'll say, Hancock Prospecting, Santos, and maybe a few other choice companies that dig up the very country that they're trying to welcome you to. No? You don't think that's a very good arrangement? Huh. Weird. Unsurprisingly, the man who refuses to stand in front of the Indigenous flag wants to remove Indigenous place names, and the ambassador for First Nations people skipped out on the Stolen Generation apology and accused Indigenous people of sexually assaulting kids, thinks welcome to country ceremonies are overdone. I wonder if there's a pattern that we can tie to this statement. I guess we'll never know. Dutton capped it all off by saying that he would have a nuclear power plant in his electorate. Why wouldn't he? It's not like he was ever spending any time there. If something ever went wrong, he'd be at a $25,000 fundraising dinner in Sydney telling journalists what a tragedy it all was, that it all went down. But in maybe the most tone-deaf moment of the entire election race, Dutton came out and said that it was unfair to give students a 20% discount on their HECS like Labor is going to do. And should Labor be elected, he, had he had kept his seat, was bravely going to stand up and tell the world that he didn't support reducing your HECS. Should the coalition be elected, he wouldn't even entertain the idea of helping you get out of debt. That's unfair after all. Sorry. Did I say bravely? I meant foolishly, recklessly. One might say that Peter Dutton is a salmon swimming upstream against the tide of popular opinion, popularity, and the impulse to help people to return to his ancient spawning ground where the mighty salmon will die. It is a genuinely staggering take, and I can't think of a more popular campaign promise since Papa Smurf ran on his promise to eradicate the forest of snorks. Yeah, that's right, the Smurfs had a dark side that you wouldn't expect from those Smurfin cartoons. I did some digging, and Dutton, it seems, does have a degree from when he started studying back in 1989, the very year that they scrapped free university. So, I mean, I have to assume that he's just very bitter about missing out on free university himself. Now, this degree did take him a decade to complete, but when he started paying, the fee was $1,800 a year for his course. Kids studying now pay up to $15,000 per year. So that story again, man who paid $1,800 a year in HECS says it's unfair. Students paying $15,000 a year should get a discount on their HECS. With a strong take like that, what could possibly have gone wrong?
Australia has made its choice and returned Labor to power for a second term, leaving the coalition languishing and without a leader after Peter Dutton lost his seat.
Oh yes, that's right. The Liberal Party's campaign of threatening to cut jobs, build nuclear plants, not reduce HECS, and doing poor Trump impressions has failed to win over voters. Who could possibly have seen this coming? Okay, so it's official, the coalition has lost. How bad could the loss possibly have been? It's not like we're seeing a record shift away from the second largest party in the nation, right?
This is a catastrophic defeat for the Liberal Party. They're a rump. 35 seats, struggling to get to 40, the party of Menzies. It's an extraordinary defeat. Sorry, I didn't know that clip was coming. I really should start reading these things in advance. I look like a real idiot now. Or maybe like the leader of the opposition. That's a bit redundant. Those are the same thing. Dutton ran on an election so bad. How bad was it, thank you audience? It was so bad that even Bill Shorten dragged himself out of the dustbin of history to get in one last Shorten zinger.
It did not. Are you going to take nuclear energy to the next election? That idea is as cooked as Fukushima. It's not happening. It's over.
Oh, Bill, what are you doing? This is why nobody voted for you, despite your progressive for its time and for a centrist party afraid of major change agenda. You can't be making jokes like that. Look, I get that you're not in public life now, so you don't have a $600,000 a year speechwriter anymore, but maybe, just maybe, spend some of your personal wealth to get a less expensive speechwriter who will let you know that jokes like that really aren't appropriate. But let's get back to the business. How bad was it? Thank you audience for picking up where I left off. It was so bad that he managed to get himself unelected from his own seat. And I tell ya, the electorate of Dixon is in for a big surprise as its new local member, Ali France, is expected to actually be present in the electorate and not off gathering funds while the electorate either burns, drowns, or both. Although, while Ali put up a good campaign and worked hard, Peter Dutton really lost the election to Peter Dutton.
We didn't do well enough during this campaign, that much is obvious tonight.
Guys, I hope you're watching this. I hope you are paying full attention to this moment in history. This is history in the making. We've never seen anything like this before. This is the first time that we have ever seen a Liberal Party member taking responsibility for something. It's just, I don't even know how to handle this moment. These are unprecedented times. I was expecting him to come out and say something like, oh, I don't hold an election ballot, or this is all because of woke lefties. But the analysis team here at the Bearer of Weird News can bring you, dear listener, some much needed answers. We have combed over the election footage and can tell you how Anthony Albanese, managed to succeed. Anthony Albanese won his second term by using the successful strategy that he brought to the 2022 campaign, simply not being the coalition. It was a strong strategy and brought him success in 2022 and again here in 2025. It has been proven a popular strategy, I will give him that. It does kind of hinge on the coalition doing everything that they can to tank their own election campaign. So it is a winning strategy, but it does have its drawbacks. Should the coalition find a competent member to run it in the next election, Labor might actually be in some real trouble and they might actually have to come up with some policies. But for now, let's go to Anthony Albanese giving his victory speech. Does he have anything profound to say about the future of the country?
A short time ago, I spoke with Peter Dutton, who has, of course, conceded defeat. And I thanked him. No. What we do in Australia is we treat people with respect.
Yeah, that's right. We treat people with respect in this country. Just checking quickly, respect does mean we put you in either a prison or harass you in the street, right? That's what we mean by respect when we say respect. Because in that case, I'd like to welcome with respect climate protesters, whistleblowers, pro-Palestinian protesters, just generally Indigenous people in the country, climate refugees fleeing a country that is damaged by the unquestionable damage done by the continued use of selling of coal, war refugees fleeing a country because we sold parts of a missile to a country who used that missile to blow up a wedding or a school, Italians in the 70s, Greeks in the 80s, Lebanese or Asians in the 90s, Sudanese or Indians in the 2000s, or just generally anybody from the Middle East in the current moment. We respect you by giving you the ultimate welcome to Australia, just making sure that your future generations have convict ancestors. You get it? It's a rite of passage that most Australians have gone through. Kind of think of it as a gentle hazing. When a lot of us first arrived here, we were convicts and we were put into prisons, and now when you're arriving here, we put you in prison. It's how we do it here. Anthony Albanese has Italian ancestors, and he is now the Prime Minister of Australia. Twice, friends, twice. Not only that.
He becomes the first leader to clinch a second consecutive term in 21 years, and does so with an increased majority.
Hey, working class kid from first generation does good, eh? So much so that this is the first time since John Howard that a sitting Prime Minister has been re-elected. And I think I see a bit of a connection between the two, because John Howard also respected immigrants. I mean, he still does to this day. Don't you, Johnny?
John, I agree with you. I mean, you will know that I was never in politics. I was never comfortable with the concept, the doctrine of multiculturalism, because
See, there he is, respecting Australians and the immigrant culture that has made us the country that we are today. Whew. So, how did all of this happen? Labor hasn't exactly delivered a ton of positive change, and don't take my word for it, even Jim Chalmers doesn't really know why they won the election. Do you, Jimmy boy?
We approached this second term with humility. You know, we know that we weren't re-elected because we had solved every challenge.
I mean, I would hazard a guess and say if Trump hadn't been elected over 100 days ago, we might be looking down the barrel of a very different election. But I can tell you, the Australian public has never been so happy to have woken up to know that somebody undoubtedly shit the bed. And that is the end of the episode. Thank you so much for hanging around and listening. If you've enjoyed this kind of thing, and I hope that you do, if you've made it all this way, I don't see why you wouldn't. Do feel free to share it with someone who you think might enjoy this sort of stuff. And you know, if you feel like it, join the Patreon. Otherwise, come out and see one of the live shows. Remember, I've got shows all over the place: San Diego, Reykjavik, Darwin, Edinburgh, more to come. So if you've enjoyed this kind of material, I think you'd enjoy my live shows as well. So thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye!